I believe I will be able to die as a revolutionary.
Yesterday, Daniel Penny was acquitted on all charges.
Video of the incident showing Penny, a former Marine, holding Neely in a chokehold for several minutes until he stopped moving.
What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now?
What does this trial say about the way that homeless people, poor people, black people are treated in New York?
Fascism is all the way here. The reason Jordan Neely is dead is because of the conditions that produced a Jordan Neely.
The U.S. government is responsible for murdering countless of our leaders. With the last words on my lips, that I am a revolutionary.
If the people don't organize, conditions will.
You can't fight racism with racism. You gotta fight racism with solidarity.
Then how you gonna make the black nation rise? Agitate, educate, organize. The reason Jordan Neely is dead is because of the conditions that produced a Jordan Neely.
The man in the white t-shirt being held on the floor is Jordan Neely. He is 30 years old, homeless, and diagnosed with schizophrenia. Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old student and former Marine from Long Island, took Neely to the ground and put him in a chokehold.
The chokehold death, as you remember, sparked protests last spring and debate over how the city responds to mental health emergencies.
What does this trial say about the way that homeless people, poor people, black people are treated in New York?
Poor people, period, are mistreated in New York. It does not matter who they are. Some people have been in homeless shelters for 10 years.
He began struggling with his mental health after his mom was killed when he was a teen.
Yes, 14 years old. And it just, he tried to cope with it, but he couldn't. He just couldn't cope with it.
Witnesses told police Neely moments before was making threats and scaring passengers, but that there was no indication he was violent.
We have a mental health system that is broken. We can't sit back and mourn the loss of someone that is caught up in this system when we're not taking the action every day.
I could care less about this mayor. He cut the budget. He refused to sign the city council's budget. He vetoed it, and he cut every social program, but he didn't cut any money from the Department of Corrections, and he didn't cut any money from the police. They got no cuts whatsoever.
Jordan Neely was killed because he suffered from mental health issues, because his last words were asking for food to eat, for sustenance, for help, and what he received was death.
If you look at the U.S. budget, 55% of the U.S. budget goes to the military. And when you add police, it's 65% of the budget. How much goes to housing, education, justice, health? 10% or less in each of the other areas. So this Marine benefited from 55% of the budget, and Neely caught the other 10% that was supposed to be for homelessness and for hunger. And that tells the whole story.
Daniel Penny is found not guilty in the New York City subway chokehold death of Jordan Neely.
I'm also a veteran. In his training, he was taught 100 different things to do. The first thing he chose to do was to choke a homeless man that asked for food.
This is a society in which Daniel Penny was able to raise over $2 million for his legal fees. And that's when you know that fascism is all the way here. It's when any one of these people can come and take your life and there's no consequences for it.
Because we know this has always been two standards, and that one of those standards involved the fact that our life didn't mean anything. We were brought over here as chattel. We were brought over here as capital. When people talk about the development of capitalism, we were the capital.
There was a brother D, he had a rap song. He said, how you gonna make the black nation rise? Agitate, educate, organize. He said, America was built, understand, by stolen labor on stolen land.
The media is telling lies, the devil taking off his disguise. They're killing us in the street while we pay more for food that's cheap.
Y'all are not tired, are you?
No!
Okay. We want to end this down where all this begins, Wall Street.
Won't be choked out.
Fascism attack. Stand up, fight back. Wall Street.
All streets.
Wall Street.
All streets.
Wall Street.
Justice for
Jordan Neely.
Justice for
Jordan Neely.
Somewhere around here, there's a wall, and the street was named after the place where slaves were sold, because they were sold alongside the wall, and that became Wall Street. And so it's no surprise that the same slavery that created capitalism and created all the wealth of Europe is now also the home of all of the investing and the stocks.
They've always used the working class people to accumulate wealth, to control their labor, to control our resources. That's what colonialism is. Colonialism is when, all of the resources and the labor of one people go to benefit another group of people. The state does a lot to divide the black working class and the white working class so that we don't unite to overturn this capitalist system, so we don't unite and overturn the colonial mode of production.
The U.S. government is responsible for murdering countless of our leaders. I believe that I'm going to be able to die high off the people. I believe that I will be able to die as a revolutionary in the international revolutionary proletarian struggle. And I hope that each one of you will be able to die in the international proletarian revolutionary struggle, or even be able to live in it. And I think that struggle is going to come. Why don't you live for the people? Why don't you struggle for the people? Why don't you die for the people?
Fred Hampton in Chicago, he was one of the few leaders to unite the white working class and the black working class against imperialism, against fascism, against capitalism. And you gotta see that we have more similarities than differences. And he did that at a young age, at 21 years old, and he was murdered by the U.S. government because of his success.
So it took us 13 years to uncover that it was COINTELPRO, a program whose objective was disrupt, destroy, and neutralize the Panthers, and specifically prevent the rise of a black messiah like Fred Hampton. It was this FBI program that led to the passing of the floor plan and the 90 shots and Fred Hampton executed in his bed at 2:30 in the morning on December 4th.
We don't come to jail to win justice. We come here because it's beneficial in organizing, in mobilizing, in educating, and getting stronger so that we can get justice when we're strong enough and circumstances are such that we can get it.
If the people don't organize, conditions will. I will never wish for Trump to come in because lots of people on the edge are going to lose their lives and be locked up. But it's going to be a wake-up call, and I think people are going to react in a different way than they did last time.
Like Fred Hampton said, you can't fight racism with racism. You got to fight racism with solidarity. We can't fight capitalism with black capitalism. We got to fight it with socialism. So we just got to be the water to the fire that the imperialists have started.
We will stop the war against black and brown people. We're going to stop it. It may take a while. We may have to bring down this whole capitalist system to do it, but we're going to do whatever. We're going to stop the war. I believe that I'm going to be able to die high off the people. I believe that I will be able to die as a revolutionary in the international revolutionary proletarian struggle. And I hope that each one of you will be able to die in the international proletarian revolutionary struggle, or even be able to live in it. And I think that struggle is going to come. Why don't you live for the people? Why don't you struggle for the people? Why don't you die for the people?